Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me a bit of her love.
Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another one, man. It's your boy Rah1, and this is Spark-N-Conversation special segment we call Convo Corner, where we talk to the people who dare to be great, the ones that believe in themselves, the ones who followed the vision that they were given inside of them and not just what the people on the outside told them they should or shouldn't go. You know, I like to say that on this platform, when we talk to people, we like to say that although some people look at them as celebrities or whatever that may be, in whatever lane it is, what I'm finding out is that through the struggle is how these people found their greatness. And then when there's other people who struggle have kept them right where they are, right in that low vibration, right in the place of non-achievement. But then there's those who took those pains and all those different things that they went through, all those experiences, and they use it to help catapult them to what they considered to be greatness for them. And then in the interim, a lot of other people were able to recognize them for those particular gifts. And I think that's the best part about this particular conversation that we have on Convo Corner, is because we get to understand people from that perspective, not so much just about what they do or what they're considered to be. So I love the fact that you guys are paying attention. It's fairly new, as y'all know. This is our 14th episode, so y'all know we're still building and we're still growing with the Convo Corner segment, right? So thank y'all all for watching, and all of y'all guys that do download the audio version, because I do stream these conversations on the audio versions everywhere. So Apple, all those other places that you get audio versions of platforms, we are there, and these conversations are there. So a lot of times when I interview the artists that are musically inclined, and they're on Apple and Spotify and iTunes and all that other stuff, they can always link these audios together, or become a part of it, so their fans can learn more about them. So it's always value for value, right? That's what I like to say. So without further ado, before we get into bringing in our special guest for the week, this week, we got to bring in my co-host Gloria, because she's the reason how we're able to connect with all of these great people, right? Because I'm a new fish. I'm a small fish in a big pond, right? So it all is a collective effort in order to bring these things together. So let's bring her up real quick. Gloria, what's going on?
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm glad you are. Real. And I'm excited about our guest today. And I think you personally were given something from our guest that you felt like that is really interesting, right? And what was that? Yeah. His
new book. I'm telling you all, give me the piece, how God builds the puzzle. I cannot begin to tell you how this book has blessed me, because I've seen so many pieces of myself in this book. Right. And you people need to get this book. I'm telling you, it's so profound. So I'm excited about having him on the show today. And so, his name is Edwin Spence.
Yes.
So we're excited about having him on the platform today to hear about his journey, about his songwriting, and his new book.
That's right. And like I told you earlier, whenever you showed me the book cover, I was like, wow, I like how it's up there, like, that piece, the way pieces wrote, because it's like, give you a piece of whatever that is for you, and then I understand that you said it was a piece of the puzzle, and then upon hearing it, a person would think that they mean that about the feeling of peace, right?
Exactly.
So I like that, man, and I like how, when we have people on here who actually take those thoughts and they write them down. I know with you being a writer and a journalist, I know that's something that you respect as much too. But I think for me, it's more about that outlet, right?
Yes.
Like, not holding those things inside of you and letting it just, do whatever it does and make people feel whatever way it does.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I like that. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring the brother up so we could get into his world, man, and find out how he went from that songwriting pen to that literary pen, right? Because it's two different muscle memories. I know you know that for
Yeah, exactly.
a fact. Let's see, brother Edwin, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing there? Thank you for
Great,
inviting me.
definitely, definitely. Well, thank you for coming on the platform, right? Because we understand that brothers like you got your hands in a lot of things, and so we definitely appreciate you taking out the time to come chop it up with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
anytime, anytime. I'm just glad to get a service to help somebody. Seems to be the
But
path of my
Edwin, I
life.
was I was telling I was telling Rob about your new book. This book has so blessed me from reading. I'm on chapter 5. I haven't got finished with it yet because I've been reading it in between doing whatever I do. Right.
Right, beautiful,
It has so
beautiful.
blessed me. But you know what has stuck with me the most out of the whole
What?
book?
Mm-hmm.
One piano, one song, and
Mm-hmm.
one key.
Yep.
That is so profound. I'm telling you, Raw. You may not understand what I'm saying, but if you get this book, you will read it. It just I'm telling you, the book is amazing. And so
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about that. And of course it's songwriting in your journey. So hey, take it away.
So yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
dope. And I think I get that too. I get what you say that one piano, one song, and one key. Is that what you
Mhm.
said? Man,
Yes.
Yeah,
nah. That
it's the
makes sense.
story of my life. How I got into music and um, like your steps are ordered. Without getting too much. So the I had a desire to play piano, but I did not know how to play. And I was in an old church in Brooklyn, and they didn't have a piano player, but they had a piano. And I would just get up there and start banging on the keys, and they would stop the service because I was, tearing, it was destroying the service. But I had such a strong desire, I would keep going there. And then one day, a friend of mine taught me one song in one key. When we all get to heaven, it was an E flat, and I learned it. And fast forward, the church migrated from Brooklyn to Queens, and they had an organ, and the organist wasn't there, and they knew because I've been playing that one song forever. So they were singing that song in church, and someone said, "Ed, get on the keys," and I said no because I had been embarrassed too many times. And finally, I got on there and I started playing, and they were fortunately in the one key that I knew, and the rest is history. My knees were shaking uncontrollably, but it was just the beginning of my life.
Wow. We talk about that on the platform all the time. It's about how you find your purpose, right? You're not the only musician who said that. You know, they like we had another brother on here, and he said that his thing was the drums, but his older brother was a keyboard player. His older brother went to the military, so his mother told him that you're going to play the keys. He's like, I don't play the key. I don't know how. But he
Wow.
said, but when he did, he played one tune. And he said the church, the praise team started doing all their songs of his one tune that he learned until he was able to perfect into where he is now. And so it's very similar in your story when it comes to that. It's just, man, it's something about just taking that first step, right? Of just trying something that you
Yeah.
believe in your heart that you could do, right? So talk to us a little bit about that. Having a desire to play the keys, but was that your initial first instrument that you fell in love with, or did you play other ones first?
I went to school for clarinet, saxophone. First it was violin, and I kept breaking the bridge. So then I learned clarinet, and there was this one apostolic church that would just always promote the young people. So would get me in front of the church, and imagine a Pentecostal church, and you got this one black kid with a clarinet, you know, and they would get me in front to play. But my heart was for piano, and but so it kind of happened in phases. But the big break was when I played for that one service. But I did go to school for violin, then clarinet, and I never stayed for a long period of time because that really wasn't my thing. And then later I switched. This is like in middle school, yeah. And then high school, I went for oceanography, and then I was going to go to college for architecture. So I abandoned it, and I picked it back up in college, and that's when things just really exploded for me. They had a gospel choir. In junior college, and there was this one guy, we called him Gospel John. And this guy was amazing, and he would go in the piano room and practice for hours. And I just kind of I followed him, and I copied after him. And that's when I started to develop to get better.
Gotcha. So in your development to get better, was it just playing by ear, or did you learn how to read music?
It was just playing by ear. I didn't take formal lessons until later in life. I had a private teacher, Eric Celerio, who taught me some classical pieces. And then I worked at Sam Ash at that time. And during that period of time, I had gotten sick. I got sick, so I had to drop out of his class because the guy at Sam Ash, I won't drop his name, but he was a disaster, and I had a chemical balance. And so I had to drop out of the class. So it only took maybe like 6 months, but it was enough to get me to the point where I could play some classical pieces. Mm-hmm. And then I just continued playing by ear.
Gotcha. And so with that being said, I know a lot of people transition from like a piano to the keyboard is a little different, right? Because I know some people say, because I know a lot of producers and they play with the keys, but they don't have the pedals, right? Like they would a piano. So everything is kind of, sequenced and brought in like that. How was that transition for you? Did you transition from the piano to the keyboards, or did you start off on the keyboards? Well, no, you said it was the piano, then the organ. So
yeah, I started on piano. That was pretty easy for me. The bigger transition was the church had an organ, so I had to learn how to play foot pedals. And that was very difficult because I had the coordination of left hand, right hand, and now your feet doing something. Because they didn't have a bass player. They just had a drummer, so it was just me and a drummer. So I had to learn how to play foot. But the electric keyboard, that was easy because I guess, remember, I worked in a music store. So I was around keyboards all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember going to Sam Ash, man. And yeah, sometimes the people that work there, they'll show you how to, like the new ASR or, Motif, the Motif that was really, really a real classic joint back then that people was really going to look for. And they'll play it right there, drum or whatever. They was playing the instruments right then and there. So Sam Ash used to be a really dope spot to roll up in just to see what's going on, and boom, you'll run across some of the best musicians, or teachers and stuff like that, or just people who are in there. I love going to Sam Ash. They don't have them no more, of course, but well, not here. In North Carolina they had a couple. I'm from Jersey, but they had some in North Carolina when I came here, and they're not here no more.
Yeah, they went out of business last year after 100 years.
Dang.
But he has a very interesting story about how he went back and forth from a very prominent job to back and forth to Sam Ash. It's very, very interesting. I think like 3 times you went back to Sam Ash, right?
Yeah. So my degree is in mechanical technology, and so I ended up working in a engineering firm that allowed me to do drafting. I actually operated in all the fields, electrical, mechanical. I did a little bit of everything there. I worked there 9 years total, but during the process, I would stop by Sam Ash on Queens Boulevard on my way home, and I was making good money, so I would double park, get a ticket, didn't care. I just had a love for music. And then one day, I asked the manager, could I work there? I don't even know what caused me to do that, but my desire, I knew more than the guys in the store. That's what it was. And I said, hey, can I get a job? And Howie Mendelson was the manager. and he said no. He made me wait a year, and then he hired me. So I quit the engineering firm, worked there, became top salesman in like 6 months, and I ended up matching my salary. And then life, people saying, man, you gave up an engineering job, to work at a music store. You're a fool. So I took their advice and then went back to the engineering firm, worked there a few years, but I'd still go back to the music store. And I quit again and went back to the music store, became top guy again. And then the third time was Coca-Cola was offering this new career in Queens. They were taking the routes from the drivers. And again, listening to people, I quit Sam Ash and went to Coca-Cola, and that was the absolute worst job of my life. But it had one factor. The one factor that I thought of, after I wrote the book, I thought about what did I get out of Coca-Cola? Because all your steps are ordered by God. And even though it might be a brief one, there's something to learn out of every location. Coca-Cola had the best sales training in my life. It taught me how to deal with people. It taught me how to deal with rejection. You would go there and Pepsi was trying to take your spot, and the store owner didn't care what he sold. He just needed to sell soda. And so the training at Coca-Cola, sales training, was the absolute best training. So when I went back to Sam Ash, it was game over. I killed everybody.
Right. So, yeah, it's like those different choices that we think that we're making and we think that is wrong, but they all are working together for our good, right? It's just the fact that you got to do it. Because most people wouldn't even quit. They wouldn't even quit. They probably would have did part-time. They probably would have just had that as a second job, not as so much as, having it as a main job. And so, man, no, I think that's dope. That's why I said in the beginning of the show how, people who dare to be different and they believe in themselves, right? They believe in that inner voice that tells them to, go, especially when it's positive. It's not like you got the urge to say, you know what, yeah, quit, and if it don't work, sell drugs too, because you in Queens, like, yo, you could do both. Like, it ain't that. It gave you the notion to do things, and they were all positive, and you were able to like really maintain. I think that's dope, to be honest with you, bro.
Thank you, man. Most people don't do that. Most people do not follow their dreams. They follow what's safe. And they have a lot of regrets. I deal with a lot of elderly, when I say older men, they gave up their love for a career, to make money. And so now they're having their second win. So now they want to go back to that thing, but you never know. That's why the book was kind of important, to just help people understand that, like, in God's eyes, he's finished with us. He's finished with all of us. We're moving forward, and God's looking at us from the other angle. He's looking like from the end at us. And the faith is trusting the process, that you're going to make mistakes, but as long as you let God in your dreams and your desires, he helps you. And you don't hear a voice. I've never heard crazy voices turn left. You just end up making the right decision because you consider in God. And because of that, it all works out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like you're right about the voice. It's just something about it's like a feeling or something. I don't know. It's something that alerts you.
It's more like a discernment.
Yeah, I would say that because even in the direction of going to this particular place that we are now, I go live every Tuesday night, but when me and Gloria connected, and she was like, yo, then, I would like to do this, because we was trying to figure out how we could help each other because of where we are in proximity. And then it was like, well, look, we could do this. And then it came, but it was like a thing that felt good to do, if that makes sense, versus it being just something of just saying, or let's just try, or me saying, nah, I don't know. It wasn't even that. It was just something that, because other people have come with other suggestions and it didn't feel right. And I just didn't jump on that, right? Versus it being in this. So it's that type of scenario. Like, I get what you're saying about the voice. If it is, it's your voice, right? But I do feel like what you said, Gloria, is discernment or whatever that thing is that you feel that, like, yo, nah, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm gonna do this because to quit a job that you know that you were making a certain amount to go to one that you know, you got to sell in order to get where you are. You know what I'm saying? Possibly or whatever. And, you know, that's not easy. Sales ain't easy. Most people say that they could do that. No, sales ain't easy. That's why I tell people, yo, you ain't, no, you just standing in a place and somebody already coming to get with you. You ain't got to talk you ain't got to sell. You just got to be available. These people that do sales, oh, it's a different beast because it's a rejection thing. If you're a drug dealer, ain't nobody coming to reject you. They coming to look for drugs. That's not making you a good salesman. But when it comes down to like people who actually have to have that gift of overcoming rejection, because all of our life outside of sales, we deal with rejection.
Exactly. I like.
Yeah, you know something.
Go ahead, Edwin. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? You know, we were always taught in church that the just shall live by faith. You know, without faith, it's impossible to please God. But I've noticed that a lot of people really don't live by faith. It's hard because faith, like the Bible says, is the substance of things hoped for. The evidence of faith is that you don't see. You don't see. So when you go out and you take a chance that has no, like working in sales and retail, there's no guarantee. Like, you have no salary. You have to sell to make a living. And so I had to trust God that this was where he wanted me to be. And the hard part was rejecting all the negative reviews from people, you know. And then, you know, when you have a family, it gets worse because now you're not only dealing with the outside interference, you're dealing with inside interference, you know, and then yourself. And so you're fighting three entities at the same time. And so sometimes you just have to fight through it. And then at some point, you'll get your confirmation. And then at that point, then you move forward further.
You know, I like the part in the book about the pieces don't fit. You know, in his book, he was talking about some pieces that don't fit in the puzzle and stuff like that. And so many times in my life, I have not fitted more than I have. You know, I have not fitted in certain places more than I have fitted in, and you know what? It's okay, you know, because I know that that's not the place I'm supposed to fit. It might be the place that I'm supposed to be in at the moment, but it's not the place I'm supposed to fit. You understand? What I'm saying?
And then if you look at the life of Jesus, right? He came to earth to do a work, and he was rejected by the religious leaders. And so it's like when we're faith-based people, you know, I can't speak for non-faith-based people, but faith-based people, when you're doing something that God has called you to do, you're going to face opposition. And if you're doing it the right way, you're going to be rejected by a lot of people because there are a lot of false people in that arena that have an agenda. And so I had to stand, like, I didn't put this in the book, but the church that I followed this evangelist for over 30, almost 40 years, he ended up going left and I had to leave him. And so just recently, God struck his body and his church doesn't exist anymore. So, and then they wanted to have a celebration for this man, his 70th or his retirement. I'm like, that's not a retirement. God shut you down. Exactly. But everyone was following him, and they wanted me to participate. So I was the only one who didn't attend this event. So it's hard. You got to go through some stuff, and sometimes you got to be the only one. But I can say that I live true to everyone. There's not one person to say I did them wrong. I never took advantage of anyone. I live godly, and the results are that I'm still standing. And that church doesn't exist anymore. 28 years of being a church, the name, nothing is, they're gone, consumed. And that's like the judgment of God. And I'm like, why couldn't y'all see it? So it's tough because sometimes you're going to have to make a decision And you got to go against family. You got to go against you. You got to go against, but you got to stand on what you believe that God has called you to do. And once you do that, the results, because like after that, everything's blowing up for me. God is blessing me because I did it the right way.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I feel the same way in my life, and I also noticed that too, is that when God starts to elevate you, and the people that are around you, they start to recognize that you're being elevated, then you start to lose a lot more on that end too. And I think that's one of the things that people don't equate when it comes down to you actually being whatever considered successful to you, right? That the higher up you go in your purpose, you're gonna lose a lot of things that you felt like you were supposed to have or supposed to keep, and that involves family and those people who you really care about, because you come to find out that everybody's not meant to go to that next level with you as much as you see them there before you get there, right? I think all of us who are on this purpose or on this mission, this journey, that knows that where we're going is successful, even if it ain't in the moment, we sometimes picture certain people there with us at that celebratory moment. But then as you're getting to your purpose, or getting closer to that, you find out these people fall off, and it really is a hurtful thing to deal with, right? Because some of the very people you said that you were doing this for are some of the very people that will wind up turning against you as you continuing to live in your purpose. Have you dealt with that?
Oh, absolutely. Like no one supported the book, from the old church. Like I can count it on one hand, and even the people I thought I was friends with, ghosted me. And when you work in sales and you have, I'm not an introvert. I'm an extrovert. So I love being around people. And so I'm a people's person, and so when you're that kind of person, all of a sudden you see all these people that help, loan money to, giving equipment to. I've done so much for people over the last years just to have crickets and silence. Like it's a very hurtful thing, but I have to look at Jesus.
Yes.
So, and when you look at him, imagine how hurtful he was. He healed all these people, like remember the 10 lepers, he healed 10 and only one came back to say thank you.
That's
so
right.
I have to remember him as my example. And so when I see that, wow, this guy left me. I was telling someone, I used to have some friends you would call. I'm down to 2 now. And I'm like, and those 2 are shaky. And so I'm like, wow, it's a lonely life.
You got 2?
It's a
I said, you got 2?
But my wife, if you let my wife told me to let the last 2 go, but you got to talk to somebody sometime. So I just allowed the last 2, literally, because they should be gone too. But I have 2 that I'm a communicator. I gotta talk to somebody sometime, and sometimes you get tired of just talking to yourself in a car or whatever. But yeah, it's a lonely life. But you have to understand that if you're following the life of Christ, men will hate you. There were people, but the people that love you are really not of the body of Christ. They're everyday people. I deal with men in dresses. I deal with men in dresses that are transsexuals, that are hurting, going through a whole lot of pain. I deal with people that you would never expect in a church environment. And they come to me, and I love them. I don't judge them. I say, my job is to bring you to Christ. If what you're doing is wrong, that's not for me. It's for me to bring you to God and let him fix it. But what I've found out is that the people that love me are just like the ones that love Jesus. They are the outcasts. The outcasts. Yeah. They're the outcasts. And I can go anywhere in the country, out of the country, and find someone that I've helped, done something for. And that means a lot to me. And it's kind of tough because I'm a licensed minister for all these years. And I'm like, wow, I can't even go to the church for help. I can't call them and talk and can we just talk? I can't. So I keep to myself, and I find those those two that I can talk to, and one I can talk about A. I can't talk to A about B. The other guy, he can't handle that. So, you just got to be very careful, but you can't get off the boat. You got to continue doing what God called you to do, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger thing.
It's so many people that are falling away from church today because of so many hypocritical people in the church. So a lot of people don't want to go, and to be honest, a lot of these churches this day and time, the gospel is so watered down. People just go, and you don't see too many people. I remember back in the day when I went to church as a child and stuff like that, I saw people get delivered. I saw people get healed. Not today. It's just a regular service, and it's over and it's done with. It's, people, they come in, they leave the same way they came most of the time. But the good news is that there are a remnant of people in the body of Christ that is real, and that is clinging on to Jesus. And I'm hoping that people do not give up on the body of Christ because of what they have seen and heard, because God is real, the gospel is real, and heaven and hell is real. So I if I can encourage anybody, hang in there and don't take your eyes off the people, because when you go, don't go for the people, go for your relationship with Christ. When you go to meet him. Forget about what somebody is doing over here, what somebody is doing over there. Your main focus should be Christ himself, because he's the only one, he's the only one that can get us through what we're going through today.
Yeah. And I agree.
Absolutely.
I think what go ahead, bro.
Okay. What I've noticed, and forgive me cutting in, what I've noticed over the years of my life, back in the day, we didn't have anything. We didn't have much. So we spent all our time in prayer. We're in a place now where everyone has everything.
Yes.
So it's not that the desires are not there. The need is not there. And unfortunately, when you get to a place of wealth, where you have stuff, you feel like you really don't need God anymore. And so you feel it amongst the people. You feel it amongst the people. I remember I have some African brothers. They came to me and said, you Americans are too weak. Your faith is too weak because you have everything. They said, in our country, if we don't pray, we die. We don't have doctors. We don't have the things that you have here. And he said, so if we don't pray, and I was fortunate enough to be around some real strong people who kept me in line, so that I didn't just become a musician just to play. I came to church to minister to God. And so that's a big difference. And so a lot of people have lost God. They just go to church for an experience. And then the ones that are in church that are looking for God are being rejected. I got a mother right now. Her husband died 2 years ago, and she's struggling. Church won't even help her. She said, I need some help. They wouldn't even help her. So I'm calling and I'm trying to help her myself. And, she said, this is a crazy statement. And she said to me, she said, Brother Eddie, you're the only one who prays for me. I said, what are you talking about? She says, everyone calls me to pray for them. No one asks me how I'm feeling. You're the only one in my life who will call me to see how I'm doing and pray for me. And this is where we are. And this is why the outside people, the Muslims, all the other faiths, they're looking at us like, even the non-Christians, they're like, I know a lot of celebrities, and I'm not going to be fake. I'd rather stay on the outside than go into church and be fake. And I told myself, the bottom line is that, like you said, Gloria, that there are a remnant. There are people that are living holy.
Yes.
And God is real. The word is right. And if you follow the instructions, you get the right results. And so you got to ignore all the negative and stay on that straight and narrow path.
Yes.
So and like I said, I was gonna say that I agree with that. I think like-minded energy attracts each other, right? Unfortunately, the church is just not a place where, if you're really looking to figure out who God is, it's not there anymore. And to be honest with you, it hadn't been there for a really long time. I think what people have been going to church for, and because you can tell by their actions, is that either they've been used to going, or that was something that they always done, or they do it out of just saying, "Look, God, at least I went to church." Right? It's more of a just to say that I went to church versus it. Why are you going? And I think that in the when you're looking for God, and then whenever you get serious about trying to find Him, you find out that He is everywhere outside of the church, right? Because you gotta think about this, man. The way that the world was set up and the way that it's created, the people who are in charge and they're doing all these things that make it seem evil, they are the opposite of whatever that would be. That's good. They're definitely the opposite of that. So whenever people say they don't believe in God, it's really hard because if you can see all the evil going on, you know there's an opposite, right?
Exactly.
You know there's an opposite to everything. So as the great of the negative that you see and all that other stuff that we got going on in the news and everything else, you know that there's a greater thing on the other end, and we understand that there's choices, right, to get to that other side, right? Because they say bad things happen to good people, right? You're not exempt from things happening to you because you're great or you're a good person. The point is, though, how well are you going to be able to follow, like y'all was saying, in the faith of things that you don't know? Like, how are you going to be that example? Not being able to run up on people and be able to recite a scripture, but actually being able to run up on people because you have a testimony, like we said before. And that testimony is what helps people get through, right? Because sometimes the people who we recite scriptures to can't read. So it's not like they're going to go back behind you and say, you know what was that he said, Timothy? What? Everybody, a lot of people is not even literate. We talking about now. We got people that are graduating in 2025 and 2024. They were below high school reading level.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrible, right? Coming into this last election when we found out all these scores and all these things, like how high school students are testing below 8th grade level for reading, but they're graduating high school. Like, so we all are dealing with things that are purposely aimed against us. So we have to purposely find our way to battle that. And that's what y'all was saying. You have to be in a position where you're looking for God. Let me ask you this, Edwin, in the search of because growing up in New York, because that's where you grew up. You're not just living there, you grew up there, right? All right.
Yeah, born around
in Queens, you said?
Queens.
Queens. All right. So Queens is legendary, right? For how many people have actually broke into the music business in Queens.
Right?
Oh
yeah.
And I'm quite sure you have probably grew up around some of these people, probably know them personally, and the whole nine, right? How did you
Yes, sir.
because studio work, because you do, all right, so you actually create the music as well too that is on the records that you do, right? You don't just write the lyrics, you create the music too, right? Yeah. So were you in any of these studio sessions with any of these people, or in their earlier, into finding your rhythm and where you wanted to play? Because it's a lot.
I was fortunate enough. Yeah, I was fortunate enough by working at Sam Ash to meet. I could drop names for hours. Even from Teddy Riley. I've been in the studio. Marcus Miller is from Queens. I did a lot of tech because of my mechanical background. I have a duality. I'm a technical guy and a musical guy, and most people are neither one or the other. You're either musical or you're technical, and I was gifted with both. So I could write, and I can play, but I could also build your studio together. So that's how I got my name. I built a lot of studios. I was a phone call away, you name it, from Timberland, and these guys would call me, guys on shows over the years, and I got a reputation. Now, I always was a little inhibited of my playing ability because these guys, that's all they did. I did so many other things. I'm still trying to catch up. So I was always a little afraid to play myself. And it took me a while to get out of that. But my technical skills, yeah, I was on at every level. Like Stevie Wonder, I haven't said, you know, I that's the kind of level stuff I did on the technical side. The musical side was I would just take from my experiences and write. And if you look at the book and you look at my songs, they all have the same theme. You know, have more faith, overcomer. You know, the Lord's Prayer. Like the Lord's Prayer is the most powerful prayer you could ever pray because it's "Thy will be done on earth as it already is in heaven," which is the book. But as far as your technical side, what you asked with the studio, man, Najee, I've had some key anchors in my life. Like, Najee's brother Fareed taught me sound in his studio. You know, I was with D-Train in his house. You know, he taught me about the elements of taking a microphone. Like, for example, there's a mic called a 414. It has a black side and a silver side. And Eves is D-Train. He was in his house and he had it turned on the wrong side. I thought it was the wrong side. And I said, you got it wrong. He said, "Sis, who told you it's wrong?" He said, "My voice sounds better on this side." So I was fortunate to learn some technical gems. Andre Crouch, you know, that was another story. I was so angry about. So short story was that God was dealing with me about strengthening the hand of the wicked, you know, because I helped so many people. And so I was so angry with church folk that I said, "God, send me a church person that I can help." I was really that angry because some church did something, this pastor did something wrong, and I was just angry at him. And I said, "God, send me a church person I can help." The very next day I met Andre Crouch, and God linked us up for 9 years, and he taught me all his secrets. And I'm like, why is this guy teaching me all his secrets? Because he had a plan that God wanted me to do what I'm doing. And Andre was supposed to produce my music for me. So I gave him my music. He came to my house. This guy came to my house and went through all my songs and validated me as a songwriter. And then he said, "Give me your songs. I'm going to put an album together with all my friends." And fortunately, I got it to him. But unfortunately, he died before he got a chance to do it. So I was still being depressed. But to answer your question, yeah, once you follow that path, God has already put people in place to help you. You just got to trust the process.
That's true.
Yeah, and that was the main reason why I asked that, because sometimes proximity gives you an extra dose of, you know what, I can do it, because of the people that you see around you that have the same circumstances as you, and you see that they have achieved it, right? And we all know that what's for you is for you. You know, it's not always that you can look at somebody and just, you know, get it the way that they get it. That ain't it. But it comes a point in time where where your faith kicks in whenever you see that people have the same circumstances as you and they're able to overcome them and achieve greatness. Because like I said, you from Queens, I'm from East Orange. You know how many people have came out of East Orange that you can't, that I walked around, played with, rode bikes with, and all these other things. They're some of the biggest people in the world, Naughty by Nature. You got Lauryn Hill, Queen Latifah. All of these people, you know what I'm saying, are from my small town. So whenever you get into the belief that you can't do something, it's hard whenever you come from somewhere that's a proximity of you seeing people with your circumstances actually be successful. Now, when we say, is it successful in the sense of whether it's what God wanted it to do, or are they following the devil? Because people get into that bad too as well. When you got rappers and R&B singers and all the other things that they do, but most people don't understand that it wasn't a person in the Bible that was used that was perfect. That's not one. You get what I'm saying? Like every single one of them had a story or a testimony, and some of them did way worse. Like, listen. It's a lot of people out here who rap a bunch of stuff that they don't do, and then there's people in the Bible who actually did what they did, and God still used them.
That's right.
And so a lot of times, God doesn't call the qualified, right? He calls who He wants to be in position, and sometimes people miss what that thing is because they're too busy prejudging based on where they are in their life, right? You can't separate gospel from real life if you are a person that's in a judgmental space, because God works with everybody. I heard somebody tell me the other day when we was talking, and they were talking about 50 Cent, and they was talking about the success of 50 Cent. And I was telling him, I said, yeah, man, I understand that, but I don't know if I personally would want him to get shot 9 times in order for me to become
I know that's right.
whatever that is, right? I don't think I wanted to piss God off that much for him to say, listen, because when you got a purpose, he gonna get you there either by obedience or you gonna figure it out. You know,
S.R. Kelly. S.R. Kelly.
Listen, he'll sit you down somewhere until you get it together, right? But you got a purpose. You're going to get there. But sometimes he's going to have to, if he got to discipline you, he's going to do that. But that's my thing. I say that all the time. Like, yo, I get that, but I just don't know if I want that.
Yes.
Right? So let me do a little bit more listening. And
yes.
Instead of me just trying to jump out the window and keep getting corrected all the time. I don't want to keep getting corrected because that correction, look, you know what I'm saying? 9 times, and so you know some people who get shot once and they're not here anymore, and they got shot in the arm or something like, or the leg, and they're not even here no more. This man took 9 of them, and you know he's a billionaire. But that's the thing. It's like, do you want to go through that? It's like he had a purpose, and in that purpose, he got corrected. Because what happens if he went and took the 9 shots? I
would like to just add a couple of things. Like one is that lower your expectations among people. Just because you know how a lot of people say that you gotta network, you got all this stuff together, but when you're doing it God's way, God's going to get the glory out of it.
That's right.
No matter what. And so, like 50 Cent from Southside. I used to be, my godmother lived right on that area. That's some tough dudes. I ain't going to even go there. I got no more respect for them. But the point you said, the process, it's better to not even look that way, just live, because you're going to go through things. If you're going to, the Bible says, whoever lives holy is going to go through persecution. Right now, I'm dealing with a situation at my job. I'm the number 1 dude in the region. Number one. The owner hates me. He put an ad out for a keyboard manager in September, and I've been the manager for 24 years.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you go through some stuff, but
you do.
At some point, you will hear confirmation from God. Like I heard this, the one time I can tell you I did hear God say, He said, "I've given you this job," and for the 9 months since He's been put ad, they can't find nobody. And then at some point you just get worn out. So the process is just like Jesus. At some point, Jesus said, "How long I'm going to be with you guys? Are you guys ever going to learn faith?" It's part of the process. Rejection is part of the process. Trust that if God gave you something to do, get it done. Because I knew D-Train he didn't help me with my records. I know Richard Smallwood. He didn't help me with my records. I could drop names, and I love these people. They're great people, but that wasn't their assignment.
Yes.
See, just because you know someone don't mean that's their assignment for you. You got to get up and do it yourself and get it done. I could drop names for hours. It means nothing. The only name I want to drop is Jesus, because that's all you need. You don't need look, this record, this project, all my songs, no celebrities were done. None of them. And I know everybody. My sister sings with Donnie McClurkin. I can make a phone call. You want God to do it, because guess what? At the end, God's the only one that gets the glory. And that's what's more important. Like you said, 50 Cent from his area, he went through a whole lot. Everyone has to go through something.
That's right.
The higher you go, the air gets thinner. You know what I'm saying? It gets cold. Certain people can't survive up there. But when you make it to the top, you're there.
Yeah.
You're there. And guess what? I can look down and say, I didn't need any of you. Only person I need was Jesus. And now it's Yes, and we're doing well. So I just wanted to encourage people, because I don't want them to say that or feel that, well, because man, you know this person. No, none of those people helped me. And so, and I was going through my emotions. I was feeling a kind of way, because some of them I built their studios. Another recording artist, I helped him through all of his albums. He never put my name never gave me credit for the album, and I'm the one who built the studio. So you go through that process. That's part of the process.
Yes.
Love them unconditionally. Unconditionally. They were there for a reason and for a season, but their purpose was not to help me. It was for me to get my thing on for myself.
No, and it comes too, right? Because once you prove yourself in the sense of your own accomplishments, right? Because once somebody does something for you, it, like you said, the glory no longer goes to God. It goes to that person that looked out for you, that person that gave you the blessing. And sometimes those people come back later on and remind you when they get down, if you can help them, right? But then when you do it the way that you're speaking, and God is the one who gets all the glory, there's nobody that could come back behind and say, yo, now it's my turn, look out for me, right? Because those people that God sends to you to help you go along to the next level, you go with them together. It's just like how me and Gloria now are doing this. That's the thing. He already sent the person to help me to go to this next level. So when we go to this next level together. It's not I have to go and then now I'm looking down. She's saying, all right, Rod, now I done got all these people on your thing. Now what we no, because it's both of us up here. Right. And at the same time, whenever people going to see whoever is on the platform, they're going to see her too, as much as they see me. So we go together versus it being a thing where, it's the other end. So that's why I tell a lot of people whenever we have these type of conversations to that, yo, just trust in the fact that God is going to remove the people that are not supposed to be and add those that are. You never have to force your way into anybody's square. Like, you don't have to. Because, like, at the end of the day, somebody told me this, and it was a guy who I had on, and he was a spiritual guy, more so on the other end as a medium, right? And in that, he was saying that whenever we reincarnate back into our lives that we live each time, because he said most of us, or not all of us, we've lived more lives than the lives that we live in right now, right? And in that, he was saying that we choose our fate before we come back down here. So whatever we deal with, we chose that we will be able to deal with. It's just that our memories are erased before we come in order for us to start anew. And although I know that's a different way of, belief when it comes down to spirituality and stuff like that, I get the concept, right? And the perspective of when it says that God wouldn't give you more than you can handle. Yeah. That's how I look at that, right? Whenever people say God won't give you more than you can handle, then I think about what he said. It's like, oh, okay, everything that we're going through, we already said that we could go through, or we agreed to go through it. And here it is when it happens, bam, there it is, right? That's that thing of saying that you can get through this because this is what was allowed for you to go through. And I think that's the difference in when people feel like their faith is being tested, that, just to remember, like, you're going through this, but it's not because you can't go through it. Exactly. Some people didn't make it from their issues or their traumas or their drama, right? A lot of people are under a bridge and apart because they didn't get past whatever that thing is that they dealt with.
Yeah. Well, the Bible say that many are the afflictions of the righteousness, but he sees us through them all. We're going to go through stuff. Really, if I told you the stuff that I've been through, you wouldn't even believe it. Because the one thing, I don't magnify my problems. I magnify the God who solves them.
That's right.
And I don't go around and, I'm not all on Facebook or whatever, Instagram or whatever, telling people my problems, because you can't solve them no way, and I'll share my testimony with who I believe I need to share it with, but I don't focus on the negative. I focus on the positive and my creator, who is the solver of all things. But the thing about, especially what I've seen mostly in the Black community, we don't stick together enough. And we don't pull each. We're supposed to pull each other up. When I go up, I'm taking you up with me. But for some reason, we're so selfish in our community, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
It's like we don't want to see each other, right? It's enough. It's enough food everybody can eat.
that's right.
Nobody should be hungry
That's true.
because it's enough
And
for everybody.
that's
And
right.
I think that we as a community just need to work together better and to help each other. That's just my
I agree.
personal opinion.
No, I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think community is how we survive, right? I think community is how we always survive, right? Because when we didn't have all these luxuries, like you said earlier, Edwin, all we had was each other. And when we had that to lean on, we were successful. Like we was very successful during segregation. It's
Yeah.
just bad. It's just the way the word looked. But like, nah. If you think about when we was the most successful as a people, it was during that time when we were forced to create our own and develop our own and didn't have to go in those places that we integrated in. And I think some of that mindset has been lost in us, right? Because we feel entitled to being a part of other people's stuff. But I will say this though, man. I think for you, bro, I like the fact that you are who you are because, like you said, not only are you a musician, but you're on the technical side. That was the main reason why I asked because I knew at some point you build studios because there's no way that you could be those type of engineers and do all that other stuff and you ain't responsible for building somebody's studio because I've been in so many different studios and the most important part of the studio is the build and the microphone from what I understand, right? Is the build of it and the microphone. The compressors, how those things are wired, because there are wires everywhere. Man, look, there's no way you can just go into a person's studio and look at it and say, all right, I know how to put one together. Ain't no way, right?
Right.
So I knew that that had to be more to your gift than just that particular portion because, you know, like I said, a lot of people are blessed to be in a certain area in their life where they grow up at, where they have examples of those people who are a higher level than them in the same thing. But a lot of people don't have those examples. Like you said, those brothers in Africa, that's why they walked around and said that we are who we are because they don't understand that we are everything, right? We have a lot of conversations with people from other countries who think that we are a certain way just based on what they see, but they don't understand, yo. They have no idea that everything that they even aspire to be, we had to be that already. Had to,
That's true.
right?
It's true.
And even from the prayer perspective, right? They say, yo, if they don't pray that we don't die, like, yo, listen, prayer without actions is dead anyway. We have to pray and go outside and find something to eat. So hopefully you understand that we couldn't just pray. There was no
Right.
part of American history for us where that's all we could do. Because if that was the case, then it wouldn't have been no Harriet Tubman. Because that's all they did was pray in the field, right? But they had to get up out of there too. So we had to do more. And they forget that part, right? A lot of people outside forget how much we had to go through in order to be the people that we are today. So Edwin, let's do this, man, because I don't want to keep you too long, bro. But I do want people to understand how they can support your book, man. Because, yo, first of all, explain to them what gave you that title. Give
So
me the
so the I do a lot of counseling to help brothers and to help them through the process of life. I mean, and so God showed me that before the earth was formed, He already had a plan for our life. And so He's already mapped your life out. Your beginning, your middle, and end. It's already done. So when you get, so the whole idea is that God assigns you an angel to protect you and to guide you. At some point, you land on earth. And then when you get your bag of pieces of your life, there are pieces of your life already in place you have no control over. You have no control over your name, your height, your race, your family. There's so many elements of your life you had no control over. So at some point you get the bag and there's no instructions. And you don't have a Bible. But you do have this bag and you're trying to put your pieces of your life together. And at some point, you may hit some dead ends and you make some mistakes. And at that point, your guardian angel goes back to heaven and says, hey, God, we got a problem with Rod. Gloria, Ed is messed up. So God comes down and says, hey, God, what's going on? And I say, God, why am I white? Why am I black in a white man's world? Why am I this? And God says, what do you mean? I said, and I have conversations with God. And I said, with these pieces, I don't know who I'm supposed to be. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a musician. I'm confused, and I got to make a living. God's like, well, give me the piece. I've already finished with your life. So this is kind of in line with what you said about the other guy, because all the religions have a similarity. There's a lot of similarities in religions. So the point is that to give God your life and say, okay, God, since you've already finished with me, why am I struggling trying to figure out tomorrow when you already solved my tomorrow? So give him the peace. And at that point, God will take the piece and he sets it in order. And the place where the hole didn't fit, there's a scripture that says your gift will make room for you and bring you in front of God. And that's what happened to my life. He put me in a spot where I'm hanging with people I don't deserve to be with. But that was God's order. He had ordained that. And I could have never done it without him. So my encouragement to the people of the book is don't give up. You're going to hit some impossible places of your life. There's going to be some pieces that won't make any sense. You're going to have $5, but you got a $10 bill. I remember, there's going to be some life. It could be sickness. It could be separation, divorce. Things are going to happen, but you got to go to the creator and say, hey, like, since I wrote the book, I don't ask God to solve things now. I ask God, how did you solve this? How did you, remember, God's looking the other way. So he's already passed my today. So I'm here and I'm like, God, I don't know how. God, you know what? Wait a second. God, you know what? How did you fix this? How did you fix this? And then next thing you know it, I'm on the other side of that thing. But it was impossible until I thought about it the wrong. I had to change the way I think. And that's why I say give him the peace. Because sometimes we need to recognize that we all need God. We all need God. We all need God. We all need, I don't care what race you are. Look, I'll say it. Even our president, had he let God direct him with his pieces, he wouldn't be uneasy right now. He's 80 years old. He should be settled. He's not.
Yes.
That's because he tried to do it without God. Had he done it with God, he could be in a whole nother place. Country would be in a whole nother place. So that's the example, is to let God order your steps. Don't do it yourself.
That is powerful right there, bro. Yeah, man. So for all of y'all that's watching right now, man, I definitely want y'all to make sure that y'all go out there, y'all cop the book. Is it available on Amazon and all those other places?
It's on Amazon, yeah. It's on Amazon, Edwin Spence, and I'm working on my own website so people can buy directly. But right now, go to Amazon. It's there. Edwin Spence, Give Me the Peace. It'll be a blessing for you. It really is a good book, even if I didn't write it. Something that God blessed me to do to help people.
Yeah, and for those of y'all that's watching, man, if y'all could tell by the conversation, y'all know the brother is grounded. And not only that, you can tell by the way that he speaks that he's faith-driven, right? Everything he's done has been done by faith. So, because most people won't leave a cushion of a job for nothing and then go back and then come back and then go back. Most people will never do that because for them, security is the one thing that most people try to set their lives up for, right? And they wind up not living. And so with this brother, if y'all follow anything out of this conversation, y'all should be able to say that he followed the vision. Whatever that was that God told him to do, he followed it all the way up until the worst job of his life being one of the best places he learned to scale from. So even in that, it was a blessing in the fact that he made that choice to even go to a new company, which was Coca-Cola at that time. But like he said, from the sales training that he got, he was able to come back to what he really loved, and boom. So the steps, like he said, has been ordered. God has already put your puzzle together. You just get the pieces, and now he's saying, give God the pieces of your life. He'll put the puzzle together for you. You just keep walking in that light. So for those of y'all that are watching, I hope y'all get that. I hope y'all pay attention to, just the spirit of people who are trying to help you, because a lot of times these people write these books and these different things just to be a service to other people, not so much for them. You know, we understand a lot of authors don't become millionaires off of a book, so it's got to be based on, you know, wanting to give what God has given to him and he give back out to the people. So make sure that y'all check my brother out, Edwin Spence. Make sure y'all look him up on Amazon. Get the book. Give me the piece. It's give me the piece or give me my piece. Let me see. Hold on.
Give me
the piece. Right? And he's saying that's what
Give
God.
me the peace.
Right? That's what he's saying. God is saying, give him the peace. The piece that you can't figure out where it goes, don't fit, right? You don't know, give it down. He'll put it in there for you.
It'll bless your soul. It's bless mine. Get the book. Get the book,
Yeah.
people. I'm telling you, get the book.
Right. And so, Edwin, don't go nowhere. My outro will play, then we'll talk a little bit offline. But to all of y'all, y'all know the vibes. Me and Gloria will be back with more Convo Corner for y'all and talking to some of the world's most interesting people that actually did the thing what we all want to do, is believe in ourselves. So until next week, y'all, or the next time y'all see us, peace.
Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me A,